doing life. It's the experience we all hold dear. It's reflected in our communities. It's reflected in our people. It's the one thing that unites us all, family and friends. Together, we all have something to share. Welcome to another episode of Something to Share. Today we're going to talk about mentorship, the value in both having a mentor and being a mentor. My guests today know a little something about mentorship. I have Phil Schneider, who works as a leader here at Medi-Share. He is the Learning and Leadership Development Consultant. Welcome, Phil. And then we also have Courtney Jeffrey, who focuses on process improvement as a business process analyst here at Medi-Share. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
So since we're talking about mentorship, I'd like to first just ask maybe about your personal experiences about having a mentor. Would either of you like to share about a time when you had a mentor that really impacted your life? Courtney, may I start with you?
Yeah. First of all, my father would be the first mentor I recognize in my life that just lived out a good, godly Christian life in front of me. Showed me what it was like to be a man and kind of walked that out in front of me. And professionally, of course, over the years that I've been here at Medi-Share, I've had several people that have impacted me. And I think here I've grown professionally more than any job I've been at. So I would say there are several people that have contributed to just kind of helping me find confidence, helping me realize what strengths I have as a worker and a leader, and just kind of helping me learn how to conduct myself professionally.
Yes, and I love that you shared that it's both professional mentors, spiritual mentors, and even just sometimes our parents that can help us to just grow to be responsible adults. And that's beautiful that it started right with your father.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Phil, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of a different experience, but I think it, thankfully ends kind of in a similar place. For me, for a long time, I really didn't have, I think solid mentors in my life, but I've been really blessed in the last few years to have some people who have really chosen to invest in my wife and myself. Mm-hmm. And it's cool because, they're really spiritual mentors. I think you could probably use the word disciple maker kind of, synonymously, at least in my life. And they're people who they've modeled for me what it looks like, honestly, to navigate like the kind of culture and society. I don't know if anybody knows, but the last 2 years have been a little crazy. And so to have people who I could follow as they're following Christ, as we're encountering complexities and difficulties in a world in which I just had a whole lot of moments where I went, I don't know, just to have somebody else who says, I don't know either. But let's do it together. Yeah. I think is really the way that they've modeled, the fruit of the Spirit and still acting like Christ, even in ambiguity and in this kind of time. And so I've been really blessed to follow these individuals. And I think that contributes to my vocational skills, at least in my job, my profession, the ability to love on others and to value others in the way that they love and value me. I've had more than one experience recently where I've said, what would this person do when I'm trying to love or coach someone in front of me? And that's been really amazing to follow them as they're following Christ.
Excellent. So you touched on it, but I'd like to dig a little deeper. Yeah. I believe that both of you would agree that first and foremost, our number one mentor is Jesus Christ. Yeah. But yet God called us to do life together with other people. And so when you look for a mentor, what characteristics are really important to make sure that that person is going to guide you and mentor you in a way that would line up with what Jesus Christ himself would mentor you in?
I think Phil hit it when he said you line up with where someone is walking as much as they're lining up with Christ, and that's right from Scripture. So it's looking at that person and knowing that they're walking out the fruit of the Spirit. Are they really loving, or are they just doing what's right when people are looking, and then it's a totally different person when they're not around? So the people that I look to, and I include my father in that because he was the first person I saw model that out. But I've run into, just like Phil, several people that are able to live a godly life, and it's not just when the lights are on or when people are looking. but also when you turn the camera off, when there are not people around, it's the same person. And so that's what I look for.
Yeah, I think we really have to be careful to, I almost feel like this goes along with the verse that says, work out your faith with fear and trembling. I think it's really easy to find people who maybe have some quality of life you want, a job you want, material possessions you want. Oh, we would never choose a mentor off that, but we totally do. And instead, for me, I've really set a really high bar for mentorship, for who I choose to follow. And it's, do I want to be like them? If, do I want to be the kind of husband they are, to be the kind of father they are, to, be the child of God that they are, right? Like a mentor should be someone who forms you. And I'm choosing, and I'm saying, like, I want to be formed like this person because I'm seeing they're being formed like Christ, right? I can see and touch and feel this person, and as I get closer to this person, I know that I'm getting closer to the God that I can't physically touch, feel, and see. And that's pretty amazing, that the Lord does that. He chooses to use these people to represent qualities of himself.
So we're talking about this bar and the character that our mentors should have. So now I want to turn it around, because we also want to share about how important it is to also mentor others. Ultimately, we should always be in a position where we're both being mentored and mentoring. So now that we've talked about how important it is to have that character, how do you possess that as a mentor? Both of you have roles as mentors, both at work and at home as a husband and a father. So what do you do to make sure that you are also in line?
Well, I think all believers should be mentors. You're supposed to be able to model what it looks like to walk as having Christ inside of you. So all believers should be able to do that. But I have the unique perspective of doing that as a father, like you mentioned before, as a leader at work. In my capacity, I do work with teams and try to lead them into process improvement, as you mentioned, and then within my church. And so the most important thing that stands out to me is integrity. And I kind of mentioned it there before, that you can't just be one way when people are looking. It has to be that way all the time, especially with your kids. Phil and I both have experienced this, that our kids are always watching everything that we're doing, every last thing. And so even if you mess up, it's an opportunity to come and teach them, hey, I'm a human being. I'm going to make mistakes, but apologize for that action, and make them understand that God is forming you into who he wants you to be as well. So.
And Phil, would you like to wrap us up with what it is you do to try to be a mentor to others?
Jesus says, be perfect as I am perfect, while also pouring out ridiculous amounts of grace on us when we're not perfect, right? And isn't that amazing to live in this and when we have to kind of hold ourselves to that really high standard of I'm gonna model to whoever I'm around what it looks like to be like Christ, while also acknowledging that there's grace that gets poured out when we fail. And so for us, I think, for you and for you, when we are mentoring others, which I do believe we're called to do, invest in the lives of others, the bar really is to pour ourselves out for the good of others, the way Christ poured himself out for our good. And that's going to look different depending on what that person needs, but we choose to value them above ourselves, to speak life into them when we don't feel like it, right? To spend time with them when we're tired, to support them, whether that means with our time, with our money, with our talents, whatever that means. It means we pour ourselves out for their good. And I think in so many ways, if we're modeling our mentorship and our disciple making after Christ, at the end of the day, that's the core of it.
Excellent. Thank you both for sharing your experiences. We all have different experiences, and we all have unique points of view. But the one thing that we all have in common is we all have something to share. We would love for you to share your story with us. Go on to Medi-Share.com and share your experiences. See you next time on Something to Share.
We've all been given gifts by God. Do you know what yours are? Here's a practical way to find out what they may be. Don't miss out on your spiritual gifting and how to put them into practice. Download your spiritual gifts worksheet now.